And now I want to talk about, hey, today's Valentine's Day. We got to talk about what the essence of this is all about, and that is love. I didn't realize till when I used to go to Turkey, and I was there one time during Valentine's Day, that this is a holiday that is actually celebrated in every country around the world. There's a lot of religious celebrations that we all do on different days according to our belief systems, but this is around the world. I was like, really? You guys celebrate Valentine's Day in Turkey? And I came to find out wherever I went, they celebrate Valentine's Day. So who knows how that got all started, or why it's the 14th of February, but everything has a reason. If anybody knows that, you can tell me. But let's talk about the pictures that I pulled for today. The one that I pulled for today, I think is pretty meaningful for all of us. Okay, so it's crazy though. And, I have some of the strangest pictures in this book of about 350 pictures. And here is the one for today, the first picture. Now, the thing, of course, that I think is significant about this one is the fly on his face, and there's a fly on his clothes. But the reason why I think I chose this picture initially was because I felt like that fly is so irritating, that there's something that is irritating, or, he doesn't look so happy. But I think that bugs, especially flies, mosquitoes, anything like that, are so annoying. And so I get that this is somebody who is, he's in a place where he's being annoyed. That's what I got out of that photo. Now, maybe you guys have something else that I did not see. I don't really know what's on his hat or anything like that, but the reason why I chose this picture was because of the fly on his face and his clothes, because it's so annoying. And so the other picture that's on the other side of this is this. So what on earth does this mean? I think it means something annoying that's going on, maybe more or less in the United States, because that's where this is. But there's a light that's shining from the distance. And that means, and I just realized looking at this picture better, there's more flies on his clothes. So there's flies, there's 3 flies down there. And the one that bugs me the most is the one that's sitting on his face. I always think, flies are so nervy. They will land right on your face, or right in your food when you're on a picnic. They have the audacity to land right on what you're about to put in your mouth, and they land on your face. They're nervy creatures. But this guy looks really serious about something. And I would have to say with that fly, really annoyed by something, but there is something that's about to come about. And in this instance, this is more with the United States. Something, and a light is coming from beyond. And I think this means something's about to be healed. And it does affect Canada and the United States. Okay. All right. I think I'll go ahead and show you the one I got for the month, because I think they may all tie in together. Now, this is usually a picture that, it's interesting. Right when I was looking at this picture and wondering about it, I heard the winds howling outside. It was really loud because, we're getting to the time of year where we have a lot of change in the weather and the winds. And it was like a howling wind I just heard. So, I believe in omens. But get a load of this picture. This is a picture that normally when I get it, I say, oh, that's the wrong one. I close the book and start over. Because it deals with suffering. And the reason why I probably chose this picture when I was thumbing through all the magazines to pick pictures with symbology is that this guy looks like he's in shock. And I kind of get that he is not there, he's in shock, but it's almost like a victim in a way. This is kind of victim. He's a victim. Definitely, probably not on his own accord, but he's a victim of something. And absolutely, this represents violence. So when I pulled this picture for the month of March, kind of thought, are we going to be in some kind of war or something? That's what I kind of thought. I hope it's wrong. I almost redid it because I thought, you know, am I really going to show this to all the people in the world about what's going to happen for March if I were to do a YouTube showing my symbols for the first time on YouTube? And something made me forget to do it. So I'm thinking maybe it was just for me to know for my predictive work on what could be happening in the month of March. Because I did honestly totally forget till I put all my camera stuff up, and when I was cleaning my desk off, I ran across the pictures I was going to use. So, you know, everything happens for a reason. But what's really cool is the picture that follows it. So it's not all bad because this is the picture that follows it. And the reason why I chose this picture, this symbolic picture, is that both the angels are using musical instruments. So it's like the healing of the spheres musically with sound, vibration. But these are angels that are here for a healing. And it probably has something to do with vibration, sound, something about, I think, this coming to this. So the reason why I thought, well, I'm going to show you both of these right away, because I think that this with this is trying to tell us something that's very along the same lines as this and this, because we're looking at something that is, well, let me just put it all this way. Something that is very annoying, something that we're ignoring, but it's annoying because, you know, he's got these on his face. He's not really swatting it away for the picture. And there goes the sun, the wind with its howling again. But something's coming of a healing from that. And it could be something more treacherous than we know, but there will ultimately be a major healing, maybe finally heavenly. And so that pretty much affected my writing about what I think is going to be happening in the month of March, because I think from what I saw there's going to be an event that will force us to come together. That's what I surmised from it all. So
we're gonna need to ask, because she said talking about March again.
Pardon me? Somebody say something.
Oh, sorry, I'm not unmuted. I didn't realize it.
Are you well, maybe there's a reason for that. What do you want to say something?
Yeah, there's definitely a reason. I was going to ask later, but our son, who actually started reading for a couple of weeks ago, is going on a trip, and I think it's in March. He thought it was April, and I was trying to figure out how you look for the airline issues, because you had talked about that a couple of times ago, and I'm trying to re-listen to our group meetings to find it, but I haven't found the exact thing yet.
I think you asked me, and I think I said he's going to be fine because I'm traveling the end of March, or I think the last day of March or something. I think by that time, whatever hits is going to happen by that time.
Yeah.
I was looking at the dates in March from the 14th to the 17th that I thought something could come about. When is he traveling?
I'm not sure. He thought about it when you were doing a reading for him, but he thought it was in April. He's going to some science conference or something. So I thought, and then he thinks it's going to be in March, but he didn't tell me when.
Well, if there was something horrific, I would have told him.
That's what we were thinking.
Yeah,
I was just trying to
yeah.
figure it out, but that,
There's a million airplanes taking off and landing, all over the world. And, you know, for the most part, everybody's going to be fine, but there's just something that is happening in March. That's
yeah,
and I think it's going to change the world for the better, personally, because remember in all of these pictures that I'm looking at, that they have a healing. The second one that follows is a healing, especially the world with the light, and that probably means something will be revealed. What does light mean? That something becomes visible and revealed. And then we have divine protection. This is, the light. This is the energy, angelic energy, and the music, the sound. Something's going to come about that is a great healing. I just think whatever comes about has been trying to come out for a long time. And finally, when it does, there's going to be a great healing, because we can't heal unless we know what we're working on. And I don't think we know what we're looking at yet. And that's what's going to be revealed. And, humans are very violent and angry species. They kill each other still. So we're looking at something of that nature, but maybe this is what we need to wake ourselves up. That's what I think. So anyone else want to add a comment to that?
Remember how I told you I thought this class was based on like me?
Do what?
When I went into our bedroom last night, we had just had company and it was a great evening. We go into our bedroom and there's this massive fly flying around in our bedroom. And so we get in there and I'm like, you almost, everybody stops. Like, my husband's like, where is it? And this thing is so big and so like, it can barely fly. It's so big. And my dog, which I know you guys kind of see him come and go, and he loves like when we're doing this class. So he comes up to me and asks me to lift him up and be a part of it. He freaked out. And for the first time ever, he would not sleep in my bedroom last night. I mean, we got the fly, we got the fly out and everything, but he wouldn't sleep next to us. So then you bring up this fly in this photograph, and this is just like too surreal. Like, I mean, it's just, I'm sitting here just going, what the heck, right? But I get it, that it's like, if we knew the power of our thoughts and our words and things, how they manipulate things in front of us, and are we paying attention? Right. And so I was looking at what the fly means, and it does mean that, transformation, there's all kinds of things that it's not just one thing that it means. But I had to share that because it's just like, honestly, you guys, this thing is just like, it's mind blowing, Joni. And I'm going to be so devastated if you stop doing this class. You're going to have to like designate somebody else to do it. And then you're going to be like the guest speaker that comes to visit or something. Don't stop doing this class. I won't handle that transformation because I love it. So anyway, that's pretty much what I wanted to add into it. I just thought, I couldn't believe it. Like, wow.
Michelle, I have to add to your fly. So when the flies are that big, it's always because there's something dead around, probably in the attic. But go back to Joni's pictures of war, death, flies.
I know, I got the creeps.
So those big flies come from carcasses. Right. So then you look at the light over Russia, which is where that light was in that picture. That's Russia with the flies. and the wounded soldier, you know, and the heavens above picture is what I call it. I don't know how to describe that, but, and so, yeah, Michelle, the word transformation somehow kind of resonated. Because through death comes transformation. I'm not saying there's death, but flies, there's always death. That's what they eat.
Yeah.
That's true. That's a good point. That the flies eat the dead, stinky things.
Sorry, it's morbid.
Okay. Yeah, Kelly, what do you want to say about this? Okay, you're muted.
You're
Okay,
doing
can you hear me
Kelly.
now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me out now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good,
Now we can
awesome.
hear you. Good.
I always forget to push that button. I looked at this in a really different perspective. So when I looked at that picture, two things came to mind. Is one, that in that man's picture, one eye was bigger than the other. All right. So that's actually showing me like somebody who's shady, right? Can't look you stare straight in the eye, whatever. See, one eye's real bigger and one small.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked at, okay, the flies meaning first interpretation, and that's actually like a political hat that guy has on. Okay.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right. So, and I look at with the fly thing, okay, if we think back to when people were being, you know, running for president, there was two things that came through the media. One, Biden had a fly that went on his face, Obama had a fly that went on his face, and Hillary Clinton had a fly in her face when they were campaigning.
Well, there was the vice president. What was his name?
Pence.
With Trump. He had a fly in his hair the whole time he was talking.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So obviously when you correlate that, right? The other component with this is that it shows me not trustworthy, giving you the line of BS. All right. So we fast forward to or go backwards to last week. Okay. So if people are not aware of what happened in Ohio with the chemical spill, is anybody aware of that?
I was only made aware of it yesterday, and it happened 10 days ago. I was like,
Right.
why were we not told?
Okay.
That was my question yesterday. Is that
Okay,
what
so-
you're alluding to?
Yeah. So I had heard about this about 4 days ago. So when I look at that perspective, that's what I'm looking at. So this is a really big deal. If they don't get a handle on this, this literally could be our modern day Chernobyl, because it affects 200 counties. Okay, so it will go Michigan, Ohio, Virginia, down all the way through Tennessee. As you know, and what's occurring is that things are being hidden, just like that picture, right? You know what I mean? The one eye open, the one, that kind of thing. So people are that's being hidden from us. So, you know, there's been reporters that have tried to report and they're being pulled away from that site.
They've been arrested.
Yes. And what's really interesting to me is, you know, obviously my psychic detective mind comes in, right? And Aaron Brockovich, was just interviewed. I don't know if you saw this or not, it's on YouTube. And the people from that town had contacted her. And she's like, okay, the FDA is saying it's safe, not, oh, they're pulling the media away, big red flag, right? And so within this too, within that space, you look at the, you know, the criteria with how they're with the behavior. There's the other crazy thing with this is what I see. This, because it's already affecting fish, it's already affecting water, it's already affecting waterways. They already know that all these fish have died, okay, in the Ohio rivers. That, I mean, this is all what's being shared. I'm getting this kind of from like some other intel. But there's also, in that component, what you're going to see is this is going to be gigantic. And it's going to affect, I feel like it's going to affect our ecosystem, going down to the waterways, what we're going to see, right? So this type of toxin, you know, is a horrific toxin. It kills people big time. And, you know, I really feel like when I look at that too, we look at that world thing, right? Bringing things to light. Who's behind this? Who's doing this? Even from I mean, you can't make this stuff up. but there's a movie that's coming out on Netflix, right, in this town, from this town, okay, that's actually coming out in the next few weeks. And it was based in this town, and they made a story up that, you know, this something explodes and this happens and it kills people and blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
So no different than when there was a movie beforehand, before the pandemic happened, and something escaped from a lab. So this is, I feel like, a big play part. I feel like China orientation, why this is occurring, right? Take our land, take our soil, ruin things, ruin our waterways, blah, 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 right? But that transformation thing is, I feel like all this comes about of why aren't they talking about it? Why are they hiding this from us? This isn't normal, right? And it shouldn't be. The angel part is, yeah, really they're overtime over there, right? Working what mankind's doing here and the severity of that. But there's a very, that movie's called White Noise that's going to be coming out. And it's based, you know, in that town.
You're kidding.
Mm-mm. And so there's a lot of unusual cooking. So when I saw this picture, I'm like, bingo, that's what this brings it full circle for me. So pay attention, right, to all of that, because I think everyone's got to kind of read between the lines. And, you know, I actually called my sister, and we were dealing with a lot with the Michigan State thing because we're all tied into Michigan State. My daughter went there with all those killings yesterday. And I said, Denise, you got to get like a lot of water in your house. Don't eat any fish from the Great Lakes. You have to be really cognizant of what's coming down the pike with this, because these toxins travel into water. So what is our whole world? It's all based on water.
Mhm.
So that's really a dreary thing that I just said, but it's a very awareness piece that people need to be aware of what's going on. But I think
Kelly, they shut down the airspace over Michigan lakes
that's
with
right.
the UFOs. I just put what you're saying together.
Right.
That's what I was, exactly. What's up with the balloons? I'm
Yeah.
sorry, and I was wondering, I'm waiting for you, Joni, to bring out something on YouTube because I'm like, are they here now? I mean, are they showing themselves, or is it, you know,
Yeah, I really think this is a point. I
it's
agree.
just a look over here. Don't look down there. Look over here.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And-
Don't look at the chemical spill. Look at the balloons. Is that what you mean?
Or let's pretend there's this going on instead of really what's going on, what's happening, and they refuse to, you know, and who's in charge of that? Okay, Buddha Peg. Okay, come on, like, you know what I mean? You know, all you have to do is say his name and know that it's not right. So about how things have been handled with our airspace, with what's going on with their transportation. And I don't know if I have to research this, but there was actually another derailment of a chemical spill in Houston.
Actually, there were 4. There have been 4 derailments in the last couple days.
What?
South Carolina, Tennessee, and near Houston. And then the one that we're talking about in Ohio. And I think there's a pattern. I think there's a pattern with the derailments, with over 130 food processing plants being destroyed and blown up by fire. I think something horrible is going on for our country, and I'm very concerned.
Yeah. You know what?
Sounds
And
like
what's really-
terrorism.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, sounds
And
like
the whole time
terrorism.
everybody's talking, my whole body is lighting up. All right. So that's spirit telling me, yes, you're right, girls.
Well, this is so weird. How did this come about in my pick of pictures? The United States like that with the light. I don't know how this book does it, but you know, I put it together over 30 years ago, and I always felt like it was a special device for a tool for predicting the future. I don't know if I told you guys this. I'm sure I didn't, but I put the book together, and I brought it to my mother. I was so proud of it, and she opened it up to a page of a tombstone with flowers on it. The next day she had a massive stroke. She got mad at me, and she told me, why do you pick such negative pictures for this book? And I told her, I said, I was trying to pick pictures that gave all aspects of human life of, you know, every experience that we go through. She did survive the stroke, but her mouth, she could never speak right. But, you know, she lived for 10 more years, but she really struggled. And the doctor said she shouldn't have lived. So it was just merely her will to live that kept her, you know, going. So, but anyway.
Joni, you have to keep this class going. You can't leave
I
us.
know, I feel really strong about it too.
You
Okay,
can't.
so we're gonna just take a break and when I go to Australia. So we're not gonna have it in April, okay? And then we'll resume it. And maybe I'll just try to get some more people to participate, but I kind of like it small. I know you guys have to as well, you know?
I do too. But at the same time, I know it's a lot on you. It takes a lot out of your day. I get it. But just so you know, we're all here.
Okay, yeah. Yeah,
Because we-
it's evolved into an amazing group of people, really has. Yeah, that we all participate and we all add something valuable every single week, all of us, you know? So.
Can I ask, I missed it, what happened over the Great Lakes, or I'm sorry to bring that up again, but
Yeah.
Tennessee.
it happened in Tennessee?
Yeah, who just said that it's
I'm
happened?
Michelle in Tennessee.
I'm in Tennessee with you. So
Yeah.
was it Tracy? Somebody just said that we had an explosion.
Tracy,
Yeah, I saw that there have been 4 derailments, South Carolina, Tennessee, and near Houston, and also the one in Ohio.
Where in
I've just been
Tennessee?
kind of, I did not see that, but I'll try to track it.
So in a
Yeah.
derailment is a chemical company that blew up or something?
Mm-mm.
They were train cars carrying a toxic chemical that when you burn it, it turns into vinyl polychloride. These are highly toxic. And if you watch the stories online, it's like people's dogs are dying, chickens are dying, you know, fish are dying tens of miles away, animals are dying 200 miles away. This is going to kill a lot of people.
Wow. Shoot.
Yeah.
And the cloud is coming east towards New York. I mean, I'm in near Manhattan. The cloud is coming our way. We're not going to be spared.
It almost feels like phase 2 of COVID. You know, it's
Yeah.
like COVID
Well,
does
this is
it the first
chemical
phase,
warfare.
right? That COVID's done its damage and it's still doing damage. You know, people are dying of heart attacks, all this secondhand, like what the damage COVID did if you've got COVID, or, you know. And I had somebody who actually is in the medical over here last night, and she was talking about how she's known several people that have died of heart attacks because of having COVID, and that, you know, they won't relate it, of course. They're not going to try to, but there is a correlation that it does something to the blood vessels in the body, and it gets into different parts of our system. And then here we have this, and of course, China was definitely involved with COVID. So, and then we've got balloons flying over, and it just seems like, what the heck, you know? It is a strategy. It seems very strategic.
It is.
What I noticed for the pictures, when I put them all together, what I got was that the guy had on his hat again and now. That's what I got out of it, again and now. So it's like same old shit, different day, same old stuff the government wants to pull on us. They want to just continue to do this. But the guy's face, to me, it looks like, listen, I'm annoyed, but he doesn't react. He doesn't, you know, hit the fly. He's annoyed, but he doesn't react because he knows he can handle it, because he's been putting up with a lot for a long time now. But like we know in the astrology, the government's going to have to start coming to be responsible for a lot of things. So he knows that the just desserts are ready to be served. He's waiting, he's timing it. He's just sitting there, allowing the fly.
Whoops, you're frozen, Joan.
Brush it away. I'm going to help, like that other picture with the help. It's my profession, and it's
You're going in and out. We want to hear you so bad. Can you hear us?
You're still frozen.
Yeah. But I think it's very, it's amazing how, I mean, this is so symbolic of something, I think. So symbolic that I guess we're all putting up with something that is so friggin' annoying.
Yeah, he just looks like he's over it. He just looks like he's over it.
I want to
He
figure
doesn't
out what's on
react.
his hat.
And I also thought that the angels were in Danishta because it was the flute and the drum, and I need to know a little bit more about like maybe how it relates to that and where the planets are. But that new dawn, where I saw it as a new dawn where that light's coming up, but it's coming up in a different direction that we would think. We'd normally think it comes up in the east and goes in the west. Now it's in the west coming. It's like the new way that the light appears to help us well, it's going to come in a new way. The help's going to come in a new way. That's what I got out of it. Like, don't keep looking at the old. Don't think the old system's going to get us out of it. It's going to be a new system that's going to get us out of all the crap and all the stuff that's repeating itself. So that's what I got.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, it is over there by Russia. And, you know, China's kind of that direction too, on the other side. So there's a lot, I think, that we don't know about that is going to be revealed. And this is sort of like the hidden things we don't know about. But it's so annoying to me that, you know, when you see what's going on in the world, I'm always saying, why? Why? And I don't get any answers why everything's happening the way it is. Why are they doing that? You know, it doesn't make any sense to me.
And we've been so desensitized because it's like a trickle for the last 4 or 5 years. It's just every week there's something more devastating and more devastating to where we're just like, oh, there's another shooter, or oh, there's another this or another that. And it's like, wow, that's really bad. What else is on TV? You know what I mean? Yeah. As horrible as that sounds, it's ridiculous.
Well, and I said exactly that this morning when I heard about the shooting in Michigan. I was like, you know, I remember when there was a lone shooter. I wasn't in college yet. I was still a little girl, but at UT, he went up to the top of the tower at UT and shot at all of the students there. I forgot how many he killed. I think his name was Whitman or something like that. But that was such a big deal. And we talked about it for years and years and years and years. And now it happens every month. That's just like you're saying, you know, just like you're saying, Marcy, it happens every month. So, and no, you know, we'll forget about it till it happens again in the very near future. What's going on in the world?
And one more thing that you were talking about, that you have continually talked about, is that, you know, they're all kind of connected, you know, whether it's the JFK, whether it's the Vegas, or whether it's the 9/11, or what, you know, there's this little teeny connection that I don't have time to put it together, or the brain space, I don't think, but somebody is.
Well, and here's the thing, there will always be the yin, the yang, the negative, the positive, the dark, the light, the evil, the good. There'll always be that duality here on planet Earth. No matter, you know, we're never going to come to a place on Earth where we have nirvana or where it's heaven on earth. It's just that because it's built on the positive and the negative charge. So there's always going to be that. So we have a choice though. And this is probably the choice that we have, to come from the light. That's why I wanted to have this class, because there is so much darkness, and it seems like, you know, we get exposed to all this darkness all the time, and we just can't believe that it's really going on, that people really kill each other. I mean, to me, it's just like beyond my comprehension. And so I think this is where we have to go. We have to know that there are angels and spirit beings that help us and guide us. You know what reminded me of that? I was watching something on TV where it was the 9/11, and I forgot what show it was. It's probably something on the History Channel, like I forgot, but this was the story that reminds me that there are spiritual divine forces out there and we need to tune into them. And it was that there was a man that was in the towers, one of the two buildings, and that survived. And he was like at the second building at the top. And he survived. And he said, you know, when the first building was, you know, blue, he looked out, they didn't know what the hell was going on. There's papers flying everywhere, you know, their building hadn't been hit yet. And they came on the announcement saying, you know, you're safe, it's in the first building, you know, you don't need to evacuate, but actually they should have. You know, you can always second guess things. But then their building was hit. And he just described it as mass chaos, everything, you know, the wires, the flames, everything, because he was at the top. So he proceeded to try to find the stairway to go down. And he came to a crossroads at a stairway. And he was going to go to B, but something actually nudged him and pushed him towards A. And there was nothing there. It was a spirit, it was his guide. He went the direction that he was pushed because, you know, what would you do, right? So he went that direction, and on the way down, he saw a hand sticking out, and this guy said, help me, help me, help me. He picked up the man, and they said they would be brothers for the rest of their lives. And he carried him, and he somehow, that was the only way he could have possibly gotten down and out of the building. He survived, and he was like one of 4 people that were in those buildings at the time of the explosion that survived. But to me, to think about that spiritual force that touched him, that physically moved him and pushed him in the direction that he wasn't going to go. That's amazing. This is proof of this. These kind of stories are proof of this. So I think we all need to tune in and ask for help during these times, and ask how we can help too the world, because the world needs us right now. Everybody's, you know, with all this stuff being hidden and the government, you know, arresting reporters, when this needs to come out, people need to be aware so that they can, you know, oh, it's going to cost money, probably, you know, it's going to cost lives if we don't pay attention. And that's the most important thing of all in this world, to protect and love one another. Because coming back down to what today's about, it's not just romantic love, it is love, unconditional love. And that is really what truly heals our planet. So does anybody know why the 14th of February was chosen for Valentine's Day? I know it has to do with Cupid and all of that stuff, but anybody know? I don't really know. I should have researched it.
Come on, Joan. Come on, Joan.
Yes, somebody. No, Michelle Apple's the one that
I usually look up stuff, but I hadn't.
Between the two. What about you, Tori?
You know, there's a reason for everything.
Hi, this is Madeline.
Hey, Miss Madeline, this is Mick the plumber.
Hey, how's it going?
Madeline, you need to mute
I'm
yourself.
almost done putting in the water heater.
Okay.
So I'm gonna move on to doing
Madeline.
those house filters in about 10 minutes.
Oh, great.
So actually,
Okay, I just muted everyone. So now you guys can, she's got some workmen there. But you guys unmute yourselves if you want to talk. So I was looking at, you know, I was looking in the book about love, and basically what I came up with from the power, I can't find the page, but what I read was all day long, we have good things happen, such as we get to talk to a friend that we really enjoy the conversation. The minute we get off that conversation where we feel power and love, something bad happens, like the restaurant you wanted to make a reservation at is closed, or they can't take any more reservations. So your feelings go down. And then the next minute, something will, you know, your dog or something will snuggle up to you. and your feelings of love go up. But the next minute, you're disappointed by something else. So all day long, we're in this roller coaster ride of happy and unhappy and happy and unhappy, love and not love. So what we have to try to do is to find something good in everything. Why are these things happening? And this is going to be how we're going to change our daily life to be more positive and attract what we truly need and want in our lives. So every time you have that experience of disappointment or taking you out of the good feeling of the love, we got to remind ourselves, everything happens for a reason. Wasn't supposed to go to that restaurant, wasn't supposed to do that. Be joyful in everything that happens. And that's how we're going to start attracting more of the abundance that we all want. Because I mean, bottom line, what is it we all want? We all want to be happy. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you do. If making people miserable makes you happy, everyone's doing something to achieve happiness, right? So, so we got to work on this. And the more we work on it, the more it's going to bring us to a place of abundance, happiness in our life all the time. So now let's, anyone want to share anything else on any of these comments before I go to the astrology?
Yeah, this is Rebecca.
Yes.
My picture's not up, but I just wanted to say that there's with all the stuff that's going on, all the tragedies, all the lies, just everything. I feel like we all need to be aware of this stuff, just moving around in the world. But I think it's so important to remember for us to start creating what we want from our hearts and have that creation just reverberate out into the world. And I think all the structures and all the stuff that's happening will just disintegrate as we push out our light, our creation. We start creating our own worlds, each of us individually or together. And as we do that, the light will just go out and the other stuff will just fall away. And I've been getting that for a while, and I'm having to remind myself all the time. And whenever I see these things on the news, to keep doing that and to keep remembering it and keep saying it all the time. So I just think that's something that's really important. I just wanted to share.
And you're absolutely right, because remember with these pictures that are so dark and negative and trying to tell us something, we always got these pictures of the light and spiritual protection. So we are spiritually protected and there is the light that's coming. So something good is coming from this, but yes, we do have to come from these places of our spirituality, protection, and of the light, as after each picture that represented something not so positive, the positive comes out of it. So you're right, Rebecca. I appreciate your comment there. Anyone else want to say anything?
Michelle, did you find out?
You wanted to talk about, so Saint Valentine, I looked it up. There's really more than one explanation, so it's not like one thing, but it says this Roman Catholic priest who died on February 14th in 270 AD. There's one theory that he was a martyr. There's another that he was killed by Emperor Claudius II. Males were not permitted to get married because the emperor thought single men were devoted soldiers. And so he was secretly marrying people. And that's why he was executed. So that's kind of like the two meanings behind it. But it is very, endearing that Valentine's is kind of like represented by him. So.
Yeah, that's cool. I appreciate that. Now we know.
Yeah. And there's the halo, since that matches your other girls that you get the halo around.
That's true. Very true. Yeah. So the halos.
I wanted to add something out, and I know this is kind of like, I know this is nice to have this private, but I know Joni wants more from this as far as like getting people more information going out. And it's kind of selfish that we want this to be our like private, like maybe we have more comfort selecting that we can talk in private. But if you did this as a Shooting Stars Live membership, were you on YouTube and you went live to where the people that were, and then it would be also beneficial to people that, you know what I'm saying, know what you're doing.
Yeah,
And that,
thought
but
about doing that. Yeah.
I mean, it's not, I mean, I think we all like the privacy, but there's that other part of me that says, my gosh, we're like the only 16 people benefiting from this information right now. And it's like, I get it, Joni, that's what you're trying to do, is help a lot of people, not just us. And we may speak and think about what we're going to say first, because we know we're live on YouTube. But I think we probably could get comfortable and used to it. And maybe you'll get more of the audience that you're hoping to reach. I'm not against it, but I don't know how anybody else feels, but I thought I'd throw that out there.
People in the world need this. It's not just us, and would
Yeah.
make it more broad, and more people will get something out of it. So,
Or maybe what you can do is just do some YouTube shorts of sections of our talks
that's
to
a good
kind of give people an idea of what were some of the hits that we talked about, like a flash of the picture, a flash of an interpretation, some intimate sharing of one of us, if everybody's okay with that, to kind of show the energy inside of our group here.
Yeah.
Do you think we'd get censored though? Do you think they'd shut us down?
No, because we don't.
Only if you talk about the shot.
We only talk about the light, and that's what we have to bring this back to. How can we come from a place with the light? And I think, that could help more people. The one thing that I think, and I don't know if I'll do it, just make it free or what, but the one thing that I think limits it to people that really care is because you pay for it. Because if we made it free, then all the trolls come in to attack us. But if somebody's going to pay their own hard good money to be part of this, that's going to eliminate all the trolls. They're not going to pay for it. So that was why I wanted it to be a membership, or where people pay for it. So I don't know how that can be implemented if it's a membership that people, on YouTube, I think there are such things as memberships on YouTube, but I'll think about it, especially if you guys come up with any cool ideas, send them my way. I'd love to hear. It's more minds coming together, how we can make this be more effective for the world, but not be attacked by a bunch of trolls, you know what I mean, that are just watching it just to be hateful, because a lot of people do that.
Yeah, I think that this is something that one day a week is actually gives me that strength to be positive and share my positivity toward other people, which I don't get that on many other levels. So, that's helpful.
Yeah, true.
And I think a lot of us are like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we'll put our thinking caps on how to make this bigger and better for the world. That's what we're doing it for. And all of you that come out and say stuff, that have books and have like Kelly's a psychic and all of that, this will, if it's more public, will actually put you out to the world and will help you with your own businesses and things like that. Everything is to help and support one another here in any way that we can. Okay. All right. So let me share the screen. Let's see what's going on with the planets. And I do want to say that I did my March predictions already, try to get everything done way ahead of time. But I did say March is the worst month of the year coming up here. It seems like everything's already happening now, but maybe the repercussions of what's happening now will be felt more in March. When I did my world predictions, there was like some crazy stuff coming up when Mars goes into Gemini. Mars is going to go into Gemini, and it's going to, I think on the night of the 14th, it's going to oppose the moon, and it's going to be exactly squaring the sun and Mercury at 1 degree of Pisces and 1 degree of Sagittarius, and Mars at 1 degree of Gemini. Something's going to happen in March that is going to change everything. So let's look at what we get for today's planets. What is going on today? What is it trying to tell us? And one thing that pops off this chart to me is how the moon is over here completely isolated, and it's debilitated in Scorpio, and it's being aspected by Mars. So the moon in Scorpio is extremely weak. It's like it doesn't have much strength, but it's being afflicted by Mars. But you know what else? It's being trined by Jupiter. For those of you who don't know astrology, just what I'm pointing out is that planets have certain aspects, degree portions, and when they aspect another planet, they throw their energy onto it. So it's like this Mars-Jupiter energy that's coming about for the moon that's weakened. And I always think of the moon in Scorpio as extremely passionate and extremely devoted, almost to the point where it's, you know, over the edge in some way. And that's why I think the moon in Scorpio is referred to as its debilitation sign. Another thing I just noticed, Saturn's aspecting the moon by its 10th aspect. It's not exact by the degrees, but I mean, to consider the moon sits in a portion of the zodiac where almost all the planets are aspecting it. That's pretty intense. So what is the moon? Emotion, feeling, the mind, the subconscious. And it actually, when you talk about world astrology, the moon is the masses, the people. So in other words, this is telling me there's so much going on an emotional level in the world, because this is, you know, even though I did it for Dallas, it's like, what are we going to talk about this week? What, you know, my quest with this chart is what does this chart add to tell us about what we were talking about in this whole class? What is it trying to tell us? It's got to be telling us something as to what we need to focus in on and what's happening in our world. And the moon is receiving aspect from all the other planets. So it just means that there's an over the top reaction and emotion going on in the world. And if you think we're the only ones that are concerned about this, think again, because I'm seeing, you know, the moon, which represents the masses of people, being aspected by all these planets. And another thing that's going on is the sun is about to hit Saturn, and that's going to happen in 2 days. The sun right here is 1 degree, Saturn's 3 degrees. The sun moves 1 degree per day. So in 2 days, the sun will be right on Saturn, which represents responsibility, which represents taking charge, and Saturn's responsibility. And when you look at mundane astrology, which means the astrology of the world, not an individual or a person, the sun represents leadership. So there's a heavy responsibility that's coming down on the leadership in the world as the sun in 2 days sits on Saturn. And you know, pretty much they're in a square aspect to the moon. And this is actually what we call a quarter moon, you know, the square between the sun and the moon. And actually, it was probably when the sun first entered Scorpio, we had the exact quarter moon. But the phases of the moon are very important. The light of the moon reflects the light of the planet, the consciousness of the people. You know, and I've been saying for a long time that the Rahu with Uranus is all about airspace, air travel, and earthquakes. And hey, and that's what's being talked about. That's what's happening in this world. And these two planets, even though they're separating by degree, they're still in the same sign. They're going to be together the whole time that Rahu stays in Aries, which will be till the last week of November of this year. So we have more to deal with earthquakes, more to deal with airplanes and aircraft and what's happening in space. All of this is going to be surfacing more and more throughout this year. And especially when Jupiter at the end of April comes into Aries, that's where it's going to all start coming together, where we're going to start seeing, you know, and I think that, and I've said this many times, Jupiter being in Aries with Rahu is going to be a time when all of this is going to start making sense and what we're here to do about what doesn't make sense right now. So, yeah, that's all I get out of the astrology. Anybody else want to say anything?
Well, that Danishta, there's that Danishta I was talking about, the Saturn and Moon.
Yeah. Yeah, the Saturn and Sun, you mean, right?
Oh yeah, Saturn, Sun, and then those government officials are going to have to start being responsible for all their lies and things they've been covering up.
Yeah, I agree. Because, you know, Danishta is, the symbol for it is the drum. And what they say, it is any hollow instrument. And actually the horn's hollow too. Where am I? Oh, here I am. The horn is hollow too. So Danishta, but you know what I think, and I did a video on this, I think when Saturn goes into Shatabishak, the next nakshatra, it's about to go into that nakshatra. I believe it's like 3 degrees, 40 minutes. It's about to go in this nakshatra. And when it does, that's going to be when all the healings will come about, because that nakshatra is called the 100 healers. Now, it's not going to happen the day that Saturn enters it, because I just did a video on, Sunday on each and every time that Saturn is going to be transiting in Shatabishak. And it's really primarily throughout this next year, okay? On and off for, you know, a few months, it'll go in and out, but it's going to be there. And that is the nakshatra of the 100 healers. Plus it deals with the Sky Watcher. So it deals with what's in space and all of the things that are coming about, and what we're going to find out about all of that as well. Okay, so anything else?
Yeah, wasn't it last week we were talking about the Super Bowl? And we were looking at the chart and we saw some stuff going on, but Neptune was there, so we didn't quite understand it. Could that have been the shooting that happened yesterday? Because the Super Bowl was yesterday.
No, the Super Bowl was Sunday. Yesterday was
Oh,
Monday.
Sunday. I mean, yeah. Okay, never mind.
Well, still, you know what? I had predicted my husband will be you got to believe him. I told him exactly who was going to win and how it was going to happen. I told Madeline, I didn't tell Madeline exactly, but I told her afterwards. But I have this whole technique and theory on how you can predict winners of games. And just to give you an idea, it's about the revolving ascendant as it moves. Because as the ascendant moved, I said, you know, that Philadelphia would be in the lead, but towards the end of the game, Kansas City would win, because the ascendant moved to a new ascendant, and that gave Kansas City the the power to win. But my whole point with this is not about football. My whole point with this is, if we can do this with football, or we can do this with anything, we can see the timing and results of things. And that's what astrology, I believe, should be used for. The timing and results of things. When is it the best time to do something? With the revolving ascendant, we can really do this. Madeline had suggested that I do a whole course on how to use these transiting ascendants, because I have all sorts of ideas. I actually told Michiel Boender that created Parashara's Light. I told him my whole theory with this. He thought it was the most brilliant theory he'd ever heard. And here I think I'm a, dumb blonde girl that can't come up with any, new ideas because I'm not that good with mathematics. He can figure out everything mathematically, but it's interesting that I came up with a theory that he thought was out of this world brilliant. And I'm just kind of like, wow, that's amazing that he thought that, because I've, always thought, all these other guys are so much smarter than me. And they are smarter in terms of, like Madeline said, following the rules, working with what's in the box. I don't like to follow rules. I always think outside the box. So that's
No, I'm looking at the chart, Joni, and if you take the concept that you're talking about, and we look at when Saturn goes into Shatabishak, the 100 healers, that's on March 14th.
Yeah.
It's almost like you could use the concept. You just have to ask the right question. In astrology, we're only as good as the question.
Right,
So,
right.
you could look at something like plant-based healing or magnetic healing,
Right.
Something to do with that Saturn, and then find it in the chart and find those triggers of that timing that seems to work in sports so well.
Right, because we could help people exactly when they go take treatments. What's most effective? You're right. So much can be done with this, because I think being able to predict wins with sports makes people pay attention, but it doesn't really help people. It just helps a bunch of gamblers probably that want to bet on the game, and I'm not into that. So I want to be able to use this for something very valuable that helps humanity, and that's going to be my focus with using my technique. So anyway, I thought I might throw that out at you, because it's really hard. I mean, everyone said that Kansas City was not going to win. And I told Daniel last week, based on my theory, that they were going to win. He says, really? They're not believed to win. They're not the other team's much better or something. But you know how that works. Sometimes the underdog wins. But anyway. So anything else you guys want to add to? Look at it's 108. I love when I look at the clock and it's 108. Such a powerful number for spirituality. Anyone want to add anything else to today's realizations that we came up with?
I'm just curious if you have anything to say on what is floating in the sky. Do you think that it is that the aliens are showing themselves, or do you think it's just somebody screwing with us?
I personally don't think aliens are going to be using balloons.
Right.
They're much more advanced than balloons. That's my thought on it. I personally just think it's a bunch of spies and things like that. That's my thought on it. But the aliens are much smarter than that. And the aliens are there, and they are very aware of how low our level of intelligence is. So why on earth are they going to come out and go, here we are? They have more work to help keep us from killing ourselves. That's their work, and they don't need to tell the world that they're doing that. Because we're too ignorant. We'll probably try to shoot them down, or try to what kind of advanced, they're too smart. So I don't think that has anything to do with the aliens. But I know they're there, and I know that they're active in trying to prevent us from killing ourselves or destroying our world. That's my thought. Anyone else know anything else about this or have a thought on that?
Well, I might be cynical, but I think if the government admits to anything, go the opposite way. They're not telling you the truth. So if they're coming out on CNN saying, oh yeah, it might be UFOs, it's like, okay, that's not true, because they're not going to go down without it.
Right, but they're not saying anything.
They brought it out in some kind of, I don't know, where the representative for Biden, that girl that comes out and just has to deny everything. But she brought it out about it being aliens or extraterrestrials. And get this, all those people in the audience were laughing.
I know, right?
Laughing real loud, like, oh, aliens, they're crazy, aliens, I mean, you're really dumb to not believe in aliens, because there's no way that we're the only, well, I would say intelligent life form in the universe, but I'd have to say unintelligent, but life form in the universe, that there's
Oh my
no
God.
way. So that's.
My power just went out right when that happened. My whole power in my whole house. Yeah, my generator just kicked on right when we were talking about that.
About which thing? About
The aliens.
The aliens. Well, they're definitely watching everything, but I think they're just watching so we don't blow up our world.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh no, I agree with that. I just didn't know if, you know what I mean.
I don't think they'd be using balloons.
No.
Balloons are so primitive, They have much more advanced technology than balloons. So but that's my opinion. Who knows?
Well, I agree with you because, and they actually have documentations of UFOs that are really, really the aliens, and their ships are very high tech. Everything's like beyond what we would even be able to comprehend. Yeah, so those balloons, they're not messing around with balloons. Those balloons are from China.
Yeah,
Balloons, so.
that's what I think. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's my thought on that. Anything else anybody wants to ask or add before we close? All right. Well, you guys be thinking about where we're going to take this class to the next level, or anything that we can be doing that can be more useful, more healing, and definitely have an effect on the world, not just our own lives, but help heal the world. Because that's why I started this class, to help everyone find the life they want, to be happy, to be joyful, to be full of love, and to help the world consequently come from a much higher place. I know there's always going to be the duality here on planet Earth, but we don't have to participate in the negative aspect of this world, the darkness. We get to choose that we're from the light. And we have to be reminded every week, don't we? With what's going on in the world. So that's why we're here. So I love this class. It saddens me to think it wouldn't exist. So we'll just find a way to make it exist. Okay. How's that? All right. Thank you, everyone. And I guess I could have taken that off where we weren't looking at the chart the whole time. But thank you, everyone, for joining and being a part of this magical spiritual group that we formed together. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful
Happy Valentine's.
Celebrate Valentine's Day. Yes. Go out with your loved ones, and
Go get yourself some flowers.
Exactly.
Go buy yourself some flowers.
My son already sent me flowers today, and I
That's
forgot that
sweet.
he does that every Valentine's Day. And of course, he said it's from his 3 children. It's so cute. But yeah, so yeah, get some flowers. They're beautiful. Thank you. Everyone enjoy. All right.
Love you guys.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.